the evolution of token offerings and regulation across Europe. Moderated by Vasilisa Marinchuk, Center Blockchain Catalunya, with Tobias Seidl, Stokr, Anna Agu, Lex Law Office, Celine Moille, Deloitte, and Jaguar-Adva, Jaguar Lawyers.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for being with us. Welcome to Malta. Thank you for joining me for this panel. But I think we have to start with a little round of introductions because we are not exactly the people who are on the board. So, Arnab, I will start exactly with you because you're not Tobias.
Thanks. Yes, I don't have a blonde hair and I don't have hair at all, so it's fine. Hi guys, it's Arnab Naskar. I'm the co-founder and the business lead at Stokr, and looking forward to the exciting discussion today.
Please, Jaguar.
I am who I am. I'm Jaguar-Adva, a lawyer, CPA, a crypto lawyer, and a crypto CPA.
And Anna.
Hello, my name is Anna Agu. I'm a founder of Lex Law Office. We are an international law firm working with fintech clients and have the main office in Tallinn.
And my name is Vasilisa. I'm from Center Blockchain of Catalonia, basically working towards adoption of the blockchain in the Catalonia region. So we have a very interesting topic for today. I think we're almost like closing this day, talking about the evolution of token offerings and the regulation around that. So, I mean, we can, of course, took the trajectory from the 2009 introduction of Bitcoin, but I don't really want to go that far. There was no really regulation. It was like wild, wild west. So probably the regulation came out more or less in 16, 17, that everything was starting. And I would like to basically go with you, Anna, maybe. So how do you see how different areas were happening, like how different countries, what kind of regulations they've been implementing?
So as you said, from the regulation perspective in Europe, everything started from 2017. And actually, Estonia was the first country who introduced the regulation for the virtual currency service providers in the end of 2017. And from this period, we are having the situation when one or several countries are trying to find the suitable legal framework for the virtual currencies. But at the moment, we have 2021, even if we take only the European market. In some countries, we have the regulation in place. In some countries, no. The different approach to the legal terms is what we actually having now. And you might know that last year was introduced the MiCA regulation. MiCA regulation will be the EU fundamental framework for the virtual assets and for the virtual currency service providers. The idea of the MiCA regulation is to have one framework which will be which will have the passporting to the all EU member states. What it's actually will give to the market players, the solution according which if you get the license from one country, then it will be acceptable in the other countries as well. So it is as...
Within the European Union, of course.
Yes, within European Union, correct. So actually it will help a lot the market players because now they are trying to comply with the rules of the different jurisdiction, and this is a big challenge.
Yeah, I mean, of course. I mean, if we think about it, in the beginning when we started, and Arnab, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but we struggled, not us personally, who believe in crypto and the blockchain, but the regulators. What is crypto asset, literally?
Yeah, I think the first most significant classification which I can remember was given by FINMA, the Swiss financial regulator. and they classified in 3 categories. You have the utility token, you have the payment token, and you have the securities token, right? And I think MiCA also somehow addressed, so right now there are 2 laws which are very much significant for the entire crypto industry. One is the MiCA that is, I think, is already being approved recently by the council, and also the pilot regime. So these 2 laws are very significant. The MiCA deals about the utility tokens, which are not securities or not a payment token. And we have the pilot regime, which discusses about the securities or, kind of MiFID instruments and if they're tokenized. And I think this clarification right now is very helpful for a lot of European companies actually to see where they are being placed, because in US I can see US is a different animal, right? And in US there are a lot of complexities, and in Europe at least we are somewhere closer to some clarity, which is helpful for the industry, I would say.
I mean, okay, the regulatory part is super important, but there is always another part, taxation and banking system. And those guys were really against, like, they were trying to postpone any laws, like, we really don't want this, it's very scary and stuff. And I think, Jaguar, you have wonderful case, which I wanted to bring to this stage and explain how you beat these banks. And you went through all the circles of how to do this.
Well, at least in Israel, it's where Jaguar lawyers, which I'm the owner of, are coming from. Banks, surprisingly so, do not like crypto. Amazing, right?
Wow, how come?
Yeah.
Really?
Shocking. And they'll do whatever they can to block any crypto-originated fiat coming into the banking system. And we have exchanges which are providing crypto to fiat, fiat to crypto exchange and transfers. But once you fiatize your crypto there and you want your fiat back to your bank, then you're stopped. So I represented a couple of investors who had bought Bitcoin back in the days and had made millions. And once they wanted to exchange that via one of the exchanges and get it to the bank, they were blocked. The case was well known as like Bitcoin versus the banks, but it wasn't really that name. It was AIBC versus Mercantile Bank. And we won on a district court, which was it's a very precedential case. And that case forced the banks to receive crypto-originated fiat, or at least not to automatically refuse that. So that was great. But then a new law was enacted, which I was part of the team who were pushing towards that new law and new order for the banks as well, to regulate exchanges, which is just the panel we're talking about. And once they are regulated, and this is actually new, it's just become enacted and in place from November 14th, a few days ago, this week. And once they're regulated, then the banks would have a lot of difficulty refusing fiat coming from them. So these are really great news as of this week.
And how long did it take you to actually come from 0.0 to where we are right now?
Well, the case has taken about 2.5 years, but about 1.5 years off of that was kind of wasted just in order to get all Israeli regulators' opinions in place. The tax authorities, the banking authorities, the anti-money laundering one, the security exchanges were involved as well. And we got everybody's opinions in place, and that has taken a while. So the next cases I might win, hopefully so, will be much shorter. Will take hopefully like 8 months or so. But still, it's a battle. And there's several more battles in place right now already.
I mean, we're always complaining how everything is super slow. But guys, a little bit more than 10 years from regionally, nothing to whatever we have right now. I think we're very much speeding up. So
we mustn't forget that this whole area is new. For this currency to exist, only 11 years or so in actual, ever since the first pizza exchange. It's pretty new, and we're making the pass here.
Anna, so now I want to throw the ball at you. With everything we already discussed, give us some hints. What other jurisdictions? Where I want to start my crypto business tomorrow. Where should I go? Or anybody here or online?
Wow, it's a tricky question.
Yes, of course.
Actually, I get this question a lot. And this is very common from the market players. So my answer is take into account where will be your customers. So what will be your main market? Number one. Take into account where is a supportive business environment. Number two. Take into account very supportive taxation
The
system.
lawyer is speaking right now.
Number three. And number four, where is a supportive legal system for your project. For example, if some client comes to us and say, Anna, we would like to make a security token offering. Can we come to Estonia? I was saying, okay, guys, you can come, but maybe we should consider another jurisdiction where we already have in place special dedicated regulation for security token offering. And for example, Liechtenstein is having this, Switzerland is having this, and me as a lawyer, I will be advising to move to other jurisdiction. So it's very important to understand what will be the service, what will be the main market, who will be your clients, and what you want to get on the final stage.
Right?
Yeah.
And
I want to add one more,
yeah,
what she's
come on.
telling. It's what I call it regulatory maturity, right? A lot of regulators are not matured, right? Like for example, in Europe, if you see very few regulators knows how capital market transaction works, right? And you cannot go to every regulator and can expect the same level of maturity. And that's what regarding the STOs or security tokens, which Stokr is a security token issuance platform. And we have seen, even if the law is there, regulators have no clue how to implement, right? And that's also we saw in GDPR, right? There is a law, but nobody knows how to implement it. And that creates a lot of limitations for companies. So I think this is very important for the companies to understand, is the regulator already experienced? So Luxembourg, UK, these are the jurisdictions that have understanding of capital markets and can provide you a good understanding and certainty in that markets.
So you can say that basically we can drive adoption, especially by established businesses and corporations, for the crypto as soon as they are sure that, you know, that the current regulator understands what he's doing, right?
Because for startups it's very important, right? You don't have endless runway of money, right? You may have, first of all, you are short of time and you are short of money. And I know some regulators, they respond once a month over a fax machine, right? And then you have only 12 responses over a fax machine in a year. So in that way, you cannot get an approval. So this is also a startup need to understand.
No, that's absolutely understandable. Well, finally, just minding the time, Jaguar, I really wanted to touch base on one thing. Just yesterday, we got a new IML regulation, the new IML order for exchanges. Can you just deep dive in 1-2 minutes for us?
Yes.
What's going to change?
Well, the change is that exchanges will get regulated, plus they have finally requirements, KYC requirements, AML requirements, and some kind of a CFT, combating financing of terrorism requirements. And once they comply with these, I supply compliance services for them to tell them, make yourself your own regulator, be self-regulated, at least until the regulator gets the order in place. And the order is in place already. So once you follow those criteria, you're good. And then we can force the banks to receive funds, which could be fun. So that's the new change. And we have criteria.
Oh, really? I mean, like KYC, it was quite kind of a requirement for some years already.
But these were self-requirements because they didn't have a license. They weren't working under a license.
Okay, yeah.
But now they can get licensed, which is yay, amazing.
Okay, I mean, we're almost out of time, but still, I really want to, like, we covered some past, where we are right now. What to expect? Let's look a little bit in the future, and I want to start with Arnab right now, if you don't mind.
Yes.
Then with Jaguar and Anna to close that.
I think in the future, I am seeing more and more companies are trying to get under a regulated scope, because it's always good to get some regulatory approval so you have a peace of mind, right? And sometimes I'm now seeing a very interesting strategy for the regulators that they are not giving you the license, they're delaying it. So this is kind of a very tricky fight we will see. The companies would like to get regulated and the regulators will delay it. So that's kind of interesting things to observe for me.
If I could add anything is to that is that when each country has its own regulations and they're different among different countries, you really can't open a multinational crypto companies that way. So what I would push forward is to have an international committee to do a standardized regulations within several or many countries, either within the EU,
A
among
decentralized
themselves.
regulation, basically.
Yeah,
can
it should be
operate.
it should be standardized either within the EU or just globally, so that the whole world would be fighting financing of terrorism and money laundering and clearing people and doing KYC and even KYT by transaction. So this would be a step I would push forward to. That would be the next one.
Oh, we have to push for that. Anna, please.
Yes, I will summarize from my side that I believe that if we will take into account, for example, next 5 years, then maybe until this time we will not have the absolutely same rule all over the world for the virtual currency providers and for the token issuers. But this is the way, or this is the goal where regulators are actually would like to get and market players would like to get, because we all understand that virtual currency service providers don't make the products for one particular region. It's pointless. They are making this product for worldwide use. So for them, it is extremely important to have actually clear understanding about the rules and that those rules are applicable in different countries. So it will make their life easier.
Well, definitely. But on the other hand, what I would say is just we don't need too many rules at the same time. Because I've been talking to people around here in the other countries. It's like, because when you have too much regulation, and I know maybe it's good for lawyers, you get your way out, but it's very discouraging for the startups, for businesses, because they just come there and like, I'd rather do nothing than even trying to get into that river. So I think it's all about the balance, and I really hope that you guys will be pushing for this balance for the common good, let's say.
Yes, absolutely. And the important is to understand that innovation is always toward and regulation is always behind. So this is what we see. And of course, we lawyers, we can say, okay, guys, you need this, blah, blah, blah. But innovation was the first. So regulators need to understand that they need to communicate with the market players to have the cooperation.
Correct. I mean, it's like when you come to the lawyer, the question is that don't tell me what I cannot do. Tell me how can I do it, right?
Yeah, within a system of checks and balances, where are the balances?
Yeah. I mean, thank you very much, guys. It was a very wonderful time with you on the stage. And I think that if somebody has questions, please just reach out to the panelists or to myself for anything. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.